Good evening, Saints fans, and a happy Wednesday on a Thursday to our Bayou Blitz family. Feels like it's been a while since we've had to do that, but I'm not exactly sure. I'm on sleep deprivation all week, so if I get a little punchy, more punchy than usual, bear with me. But on that note, thank you all for joining us for a Thursday night edition of your Bayou Blitz podcast. I am Bob Rose, one of your co-hosts too. Your Bayou Blitz podcast. Joining me is one of two beautiful and intelligent faces. One of which is my partner and my friend Brendan Boylan. Brendan, happy Wednesday on a Thursday.
Yeah, thank you guys for adjusting to my ever-changing schedule. So I certainly appreciate all that. A lot has happened since the last time that people have seen our faces or listened to us via wherever they get their favorite podcast. It's been just like 72 hours, and I feel like it's been it's a whole new world in more ways than one.
Yeah.
With what's going on with the New Orleans Saints. But we'll dive into that. We have some exciting stuff. We have a very exciting and special guest that's going to join us momentarily. But first, guys, let me remind you, it's the most wonderful time of the year because football's back and it's here to stay until February. I just want you guys to think this up. Think Alvin Kamara. Will he rack up higher than 55 and a half rushing yards? Or will Derek Carr throw for lower than 1.5 touchdowns? You can cook up some awesome entries for a shot to win real cash prizes all football season long with Underdog. UnderdogFantasy.com also offers you vulture protection. If you select a running back to score a touchdown in your pick-em entry and they get vulture, they get hurt, they're going to rescue your entry. So you don't have to worry about, oh man, such and such got hurt in the first quarter. I lost my entire pick-em entry. Nope, they're going to rescue you for anything like that. Join over 5 million fans that are already playing on Underdog with their champs game. You could win money by making those entries I just mentioned with your favorite players. So head to Underdog. It's the best place to play champions. Sign up and deposit now using promo code BayouBlitz to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. Again, go and deposit using our promo code BayouBlitz to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. Bob and I are still playing. We're still trying. And hey, look, we got 2 or 3 last week. So anybody that tailed that last week, you made a little bit, not a ton, but you made a little bit of money last week. So this week we're gonna swing for the fences and we're gonna try a ton. So make sure you tune in Sunday for the pregame show. But now that that's all wrapped up, let's bring in a very special guest. It is a Saints legend, a Super Bowl 44 champion, a guy that a lot of people really loved during his time with the New Orleans Saints. Let's bring in special teams ace Courtney Roby. Courtney, thanks for joining us tonight.
Hey, fellas. I appreciate y'all having me. How y'all doing?
We're doing real good, real good. How about yourself? How things in your neck of the woods?
Everything's good.
Good.
Playing.
Good. Folks, one of the reasons that Courtney has been so kind, to join us tonight is, if you are a follower of the Bayou Blitz, then Brendan and I are so honored, to be a part of the promotion for the 11th annual Go Black and Gold Celebrity Fan Cruise. It's a get checked or check out. This promotion helps improve lives by building community awareness. With mental health and physical health, advocating for early diagnosis for cancer, diabetes, heart-related ailments. The focus of this mission is to focus on the total person, body, mind, and spirit, and to link families with the resources that they need. One of the annual fundraisers is this the original Go Black and Gold Celebrity Fan Cruise, and I mean, it's a great promotion. We're going to be talking about it the majority of the night, but one of the Saints players heavily involved with this is our own Courtney Roby. Courtney, how long have you been involved, with the charity and the cruise specifically?
Yeah, so I got involved with the charity back when I was actually playing in New Orleans. I would, play in, different basketball games that they had going on to benefit the charity. I'm gonna do a little plug here. I was MVP one year and 3-point champion the next. So, I do got a little hoop game too. But, but I've been involved with the charity for a while now. With the cruise, I want to say this is going on my 5th year, if I'm not mistaken, with the cruise. So, I mean, it's an awesome time, awesome situation. Obviously for a great cause. And yeah, so it's great.
Courtney, what made you want to get involved? Obviously, when you are involved with an organization like the New Orleans Saints that has such a special and strong connection to the city and its fan base, more so than just about any other franchise in the league, what really drew you in to want to give back and be involved in something like this?
Yeah, so I was fortunate enough to be around the late Darren DeWalt. So being everything that he stood for, really pushed me to get more involved. Everything that the Get Checked or Checked Out foundation was based upon. But not only myself, but also former teammates as well. Roman Harper, Michael Lewis. I guess it's a bunch of people that are involved. But the message has always been, to really take care of yourself, personally, but also, do the things that's needed to, take care of your community. And so, as long as, there are organizations out there like that, that are really, for the people, this is a great cause. And, definitely something that, I'm proud to be a part of, year in and year out. So.
And folks, the cruise itself, is going to be from March 27th through the 31st. It's going to be leaving directly out of New Orleans. For information, for promotional information, or to book a cabin for yourself, it is booked through the Seven Seas Travel Agency, or you can contact Shireen DeWalt through the Go Black and Gold Celebrity Charity Fan Cruise Facebook page, or if you follow the Bayou Blitz Facebook page, where either Brendan or I, Shireen often posts these links on our pages as well, or we share them on our links. It's an ultimate fan experience. I mean, some of the events include beach Olympic events, putt contests, trivia, dining with Saints players such as yourself, Courtney. Which is, do you have a singular favorite event that goes on these cruises?
Yeah, I mean, they're all great. My favorite, honestly, is probably the Q&A, because it allows the fans, the opportunity to kind of get to know us outside of the uniform. So they ask us, questions, just about life in general. Obviously there's questions about, football and the Saints and stuff like that. But, just it gives them the opportunity to really know the person, more so than just the player. So, that's honestly my favorite. I mean, I remember one year, my daughter had a volleyball tournament, and so I wasn't able to go. So I was actually having the tournament streamed on my phone as the Q&A was going, and so the audience was actually able to kind of witness my daughter playing. So I mean, it was cool, So again, it just gives them an insight of the family life, or whatever it is that we may be going in, got going on personally within our lives. It gives them the opportunity to really see the other side of us.
I'll ask you this, because you plugged yourself as an MVP and 3-point contest winner of the basketball tournament. With the beach Olympics that go on, I know you've won a couple, right? You're defending champ of something.
All All right, so the Beach Olympics, it's a little rough. I mean, like we do volleyball, and so with my daughter being a volleyball player, I'm expected to be like the greatest thing on the, I guess, the beach volleyball, court or whatever the case may be, in the sand or whatever. But that's not my ordeal. I remember last year we had a tug of war contest, and Michael Lewis, I mean, I don't know if he's listening or not, but his side, they cheated. So they got it. So I mean, my record ain't too good with the the Beach Olympics, but I mean, it's fun though. It's fun.
You know what, Courtney? I coached volleyball for years. I played pro-am beach volleyball. So when I come down there, I'll pull you aside. You can give me some quick tips as a football player. I'll give you some quick tips as a volleyball player. We're gonna blow everybody away.
Let's do it. Let's do it. I need you on my squad this year.
You got it.
All right, cool. There we go.
You got it.
I was going to say, Bob, I didn't know if you wanted to keep that like kind of hush and on the DL until you got down there. You could see people kind of fight over, oh, man, we got a pro-am volleyball player coming.
And you know what? And it's right here out here on the air. Courtney called dibs on me, and I called dibs on Courtney. Somebody's going to have to outbid for the services because he got shotgun rules. He called it first.
I'm with it. Let's do it.
Oh man.
So listen, we're going to talk more about the cruise, as the show goes on. But you said you first got involved with the charity, during your playing days in New Orleans. But you didn't, I don't know if a lot of fans know this or not. You didn't start your career with the Saints. You started your career with the Titans.
Right.
Tell us about the general culture around the team, the locker room, and so on when you came from Tennessee over to New Orleans.
I didn't know a lot about New Orleans until I got down here to play, and so it was an eye-opening experience because I came, I want to say a year or so after Katrina hit.
Mm-hmm.
It may have been 2 years, but I know it was, it wasn't long after Katrina hit. And so, just really seeing the devastation that it caused, firsthand, and how a lot of areas were still, hard pressed. The FEMA trailers, all that. So like just seeing all that firsthand was a culture shock. But I'll tell you what, man, like, just seeing the resolve and all of the, the families and, the community, and, how everybody rallied together, during that time. I know that that's something that we carried as a team. I remember, the Gleason, pump block, one of the greatest, things that happened in, Saints history. That was the first game back in the Dome. Now, obviously I wasn't part of that, but you can sense that feeling that they had on the field, playing for, the fan base and the community. And so, like I said, I know that that's something that we carried. I mean, heck, even through the 2009 season, the Super Bowl year. So, I've never been a part of an organization that has the fan base and the family atmosphere that New Orleans had. And that is something that, is truly special to me, because, it's not just about, okay, you play and you go home. And quite honestly, I've been part, and I want to, name other organizations, but I've been a part of other organizations that, that's how it is. Like you go, you play, you do your job, and then you go home. It's no families hanging out together. It's no, hanging out, just kind of, building that camaraderie that you have with your family, in that locker room. But in New Orleans, it was, Sean and Mickey and, You know, the Bensons, like they did a great job of making sure that, you know, after the games, you know, we had, you know, family dinners. You know, the families would go up to, you know, a top floor, and I mean, it'd be catered food there. So, you know, we're coming out of the locker room going straight up, and like all the families are together. And I mean, that's important, you know,
Yeah.
because you know, every time that you go out there on that field, like you're playing for, you know, not only yourself, but you're playing for your, you know, your family and your community. So.
Since you just talked about it, I don't want to jump around too much, but I think it's a good segue. You kind of talked a little bit there about just being in other organizations and it not quite being the same, being in a good situation in New Orleans, good locker room, good family atmosphere,
Right.
and whatnot. It's one thing for Bob and I to talk about and speculate week in and week out about what goes on in locker rooms and how certain aspects of things can divide or make a good locker room a bad locker room. Obviously, we've seen some things in New Orleans this year, and
Right.
now a coach being fired. Honestly, what difference does it make being a player in the locker room and feeling like everything from top to bottom is smooth sailing? There's good vibes everywhere compared to kind of walking in maybe on eggshells and not really knowing what's going on week to week. Sitting in that chair in the locker room, what is that difference truly like?
Yeah, and you went through that in 2012 too.
That's actually what I was about to say. You know, it's an eerie feeling because I mean, you know, you especially when you're coming from, you know, the years of having so much success. So like you know the feeling of, you know, it's kind of like an unspoken feeling of how it feels like you know, dang, this team is good. You know what I'm saying? Like that 2009 season, like we knew that we were good. You know, and everything just aligned, and we were able to, you know, obviously, you know, complete the ultimate goal. But I'll tell you what, like if you could ask anybody who was a part of that 2009 year that was also a part of that 2011 year, I would argue to say that 2011 team was better than that 2009 team.
Brendan and I several times have mentioned that too. That was actually going to be my next question. If the 29 team, 2009 team had to play the 11 team
Yeah.
on a neutral site, who wins?
Yeah.
Well, I'll
Yeah.
throw this in here too. Remember, Bob, it was probably April maybe this year. I live in Charlotte. I ran into Roman Harper
Mhm.
in Uptown, and
Mhm.
I asked him that, and he
Mhm.
was like, "Man," he said, "the 11 team was the most talented team I've ever been a part of."
Absolutely. Absolutely. From top to bottom, like there were literally like no holes in that team. You know, obviously it didn't work out for us, and that's why they say, you know, any given Sunday. And so, but like that was our opportunity to, you know, get another ring for New Orleans. And like we knew, you know, obviously, just like I said in 2009, we knew that we were good. But like we just carried a different type of swagger. Now, fast forward to 2012, you know, it was tough. You know, it was tough. A lot of things had taken place, and you know, as a professional, like you always have to go out there and perform to the best of your abilities. I mean, that's what you get paid to do. You know what I'm saying? But you know, those Mondays and, you know, Tuesday you have off. I mean, those are, you know, the standard days off. But, you know, the Monday after the game and, you know, obviously Wednesday, you know, focusing, you know, trying to focus on the next opponent, it's tough, you know, because, you know, you leave a lot of, you know, out there on the field, and, you know, you carry a lot home too. So, you know, it doesn't, one thing I think, you know, people need to realize is, um, you know, playing on Sundays are, you know, obviously it's a blessing, but you know, it's a lot that goes into it. You know, the film study, you know, obviously the practice, the preparation. But you know, a lot of times we carry, you know, the good and the bad
Mm-hmm.
on with us. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, our families see a lot of the other side that, you know, you all don't see. So,
Right.
um, so you know, I think a lot of times, um, fans, have to kind of understand that too. Even with, coach being fired, DA, he was our DB coach when I was there.
Mm-hmm.
Great coach. He's a great coach. Obviously, it didn't work out with him in New Orleans, but and I think, Mickey kind of put this out there in one of his interviews, how good of a coach he is. And he is, he's a great coach. But that's just kind of the sucky part of the business. It's a what have you done for me lately business.
Sure.
So.
And I agree with you. I think Dennis Allen has always been a fantastic defensive coach. I believe he's going to be in the Saints Hall of Fame someday. For his accomplishments, especially as a coordinator. But it was obvious at some point over the last year and a half, maybe just this year, that I'm not going to say players tuned him out because it's not my place to do so. I'm not in that locker room. But when it's obvious that there's something disconnected between players and coach, I don't even know if I'm wording that right, but did the veterans in the locker room kind of step in and try to pull the team together? Like, again, I'll go back to you in 2012. By that, Aaron Cromer, Joe Vitt, they've been around forever, but they're not Sean Payton. And
Right.
all of a sudden, Sean Payton's not in the building. And by that point in time, you're one of the leaders of the special teams. You've been with the organization for a few years. So I'd imagine you were looked at as one of the teams, among the team's brain trust and among the team's leaders. What did you guys try to do to kind of galvanize your team that year?
It was really about, just everybody sticking together. As cliche as that sounds, that's just what it is. Everybody could sense, we weren't playing to the best of our ability. And I you know what, I can't even say that because we were out there playing hard. It just didn't happen, obviously, with playing, one team has to win, one team has to lose.
Mm-hmm.
But as long as you go out there and you play hard, it sucks that you lose, but it just happens. Now, obviously, we were dealt, a bad hand with, everything that happened in that 2012 year. But, I do feel like with being a captain, because I was a captain the
Mm-hmm.
11th, and so we had plenty of captains meetings and just trying to do whatever we could to try to bring that fire back. And as competitors, when you're losing, you kind of lose a little edge with that, and it's not an intentional thing, but it's you want to win, you put in so many hours, you put in so much effort, and you played the game to win. And so like I said before, when you're out there and you're not performing like you want to, and getting the results that you want, it not only affects you as a player, but you understand that it affects the fans, what I'm saying, because they're behind you, what I'm saying. You understand that it affects your families, because while you're putting in those hours, you're taking hours away from your family too.
Mm-hmm.
So it trickles down, but as leaders, you try to find different ways to keep everybody upbeat and keep just that fire going, because you still got a job to do. So
speaking of those captains meetings and those leaders, you had a hell of a group there some of those years. Some of those captains, John Vilma, Drew Brees. What did you learn from those guys? Two guys that are fantastic football minds. Both have kind of worked in some analyst role post-football. But you could see the fire on and off the field throughout their careers of the type of competitors that they were. What did you learn from the two of them?
Some of the smartest men I've ever known. They, just to see those two compete and practice every single day was you know, something in itself special, because, Jonathan, he was essentially, well, not essentially, he was the quarterback of the defense. Obviously Drew, on offense. So, it was literally a chess match every single practice. Every single practice. And, they made each other better. You know what I'm saying? They made each other better. But like I said, just some of the smartest men I've known. But not only that, they are some of the most humble and some of the most respected men that I know as well. Obviously, the stardom behind the two. Some of the best players to ever play this game. But the men that they were on the field were not the men that they were off. You can talk to Drew or Jonathan about anything, and they're just great guys. But on that field, like they're competitors. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I mean, just two great guys, man. Two great guys, and honestly, that's one of the things that I miss, because I get asked a lot. Do I miss playing the sport?
Mhm.
And, I'll always miss a little bit of playing. I don't miss the training camps and the injuries and, feeling, like I've been in a car crash, the day after the game. I don't miss that at all. But, one thing that I do miss is, and I miss this all the time, is just the bond that we had as players, that locker room. And that's something that you search for after playing, but you'll never find it. You never find it. So that to me is one of the toughest, but one of the greatest things that you can ever accomplish with playing. So
I don't know if you knew this, but well, Brendan and I have been fortunate to talk to a couple of your teammates from that championship team over our journalism careers. And there's been a couple of them that actually have told us that they were, believe it or not, more nervous before the NFC Championship game than they were the Super Bowl.
yeah,
How was your mindset? I mean, do you feel the same way?
yeah, I do, and the reason being is because first of all, the NFC Championship was at home, and you kind of you knew what the pressure that it had to win, not only at home, but to bring history, to be the first team to make it to a Super Bowl, from the Saints organization. Now we did have a lot of um, things that went along the way, as far as making history, but the NFC Championship, man, like it was one of those things where like you could just sense just the thickness in the air. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, I mean, we're at home. We want to make sure that we close this thing out the right way, and just the drama behind it.
Mhm.
Harv and you know, I mean Minnesota. I mean, heck, they were a great team too. So I mean, like it was an evenly matched team, and then to go into to overtime, and like it was, whew, yeah, it was one of those things, man, where it's like you just get chills just thinking about it. Now the Super Bowl, to me, that game went by so fast. So it went by so fast. And so it's like, you really didn't get a chance to kind of realize how, how much of, a big spectacle it was, because it's like, everything from, media, you know, things that you had to do, practices, it was just an entertainment type of thing. And then it's like, all right, well now the game's here, and everything just went by so fast. And so like, you think about everything from the halftime show, to everything that you had before. I think Queen Latifah had sang the Star Spangled Banner, or yeah, I think she did something like that. But anyway, so it was just a lot going on, but you wouldn't know that, because it's like, all right, well, I'm calm, but it's go time now. So it's like at that point in time, it was just about handling business, but everything just went by so fast, man. But I feel like it was the opposite for the NFC Championship game. That took forever, it felt like.
You had a big day as a returner against the Vikings too, including setting up a score, with that one, 65-yard return. Is that among your top 3, top 5, proudest moments of your career?
It is, for sure. It is. Because as a returner, like my mindset every time that I was back there is to try to find a way to bring a spark, to the offense and try to put us in a position to where, there was less stress on the offense to, to get the yardage to score. I took pride in, in hopefully being a weapon back there. You know what I'm saying? Because, again, like my mindset was to, all right, well, you know what, this is an extra offensive play. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I can get, the 65 yards, whatever the case may be, all right, well, I'm sorry, Drew, but you ain't passing for it. But yeah, just trying to find a way to, bring a spark. Long returns, obviously, get the crowd into it as well. And so, that helps as well. And, puts pressure on opposing defenses. So, that was definitely something that, I took pride in for sure.
I want to go back to the Super Bowl, and I'll ask you this. And we talked about this with some of those teammates that Bob mentioned from the 2009 team. Take us into the locker room at halftime, right? Sean has openly talked about it many times and talked about, okay, well, somewhere between this song and this song with the Who, like we knew. What was that like? Because it didn't sound like it was much of a discussion. It sounded like Sean literally came in and said ambush, and it was like, okay, it's go time.
Literally,
what was that locker room like?
Yeah, so I mean, literally, I mean that's what it was. Because I mean, you got to think about it, like, and a lot of people don't know this, but ambush was never in our system at all until like the week before the Super Bowl, and it came by accident. Thomas Morstead was outside practicing like he always does before practice started. Just warming his leg up, but he was just just really just messing around, and he found out that he could kick the ball to where it spirals, but not only does it spiral, but it comes back to our line of scrimmage. I should say back to our direction, I guess, is the best way to describe it. And so he was able to do that consistently. Crazy, but so we tried it out a couple times in practice, and I mean it worked. And so we were like, I mean, heck, we might as well try it. So it got to the point where we were able to do it and consistently get it down. And so Sean was like, all right, well, you know what? I mean, this is something that can really allow us to get the edge at some point in the game. Because obviously we knew the coach, they were a great team as well. I mean, we came in there with the same record. And so Sean said, in the meeting before, he said, listen, I don't know when it's going to get called, but ambush is going to get called at some point. And so when we came in at halftime, like literally the conversation was like this. Sean walked in, he said, listen, we're going to open up with ambush, make me look good. That's what he said. Make me look good. And so everybody knew, all right, well, heck, here it goes. So, my job at that time, if you go back and look at it, my job was to take Hank out. So like literally that was my only job. Just go straight for Hank, take him out, hit him, boom, take him out to play. Roman was actually supposed to secure the ball, but it ended up being Chris Reese.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I went to try to hit Hank. He dove under me, and I think it hit his chest at that time. And kind of came back to our side. But I don't know if people noticed this too, but Sean almost messed that up though, because he asked to kick off in the opposite direction at first. which would have put the ball on the Colts sideline instead.
Mm-hmm.
And so we know, like, because obviously it was a big scrum, had that scrum taken place on the opposite sideline, I mean, who knows what would have happened. Because, I mean, if you think about it, and, I've seen the clips a couple times, there were a couple refs that were actually pointing that the Colts had the ball, which they didn't. They didn't, but, they were calling that the Colts had the ball. And so, had that been on the opposite sideline, I mean, who knows what would have happened.
What was that scrum like? I mean, I've heard multiple opinions and multiple views, and Chris even saying that he only had one hand on it, was like pinning it up against his thigh. What was it like being on the field for all that?
It was a fight, just being honest. It was a fight. It was a couple times, I'm pulling guys off that, at that time I was like 190 pounds. These guys were 250 plus, and I'm trying to yank them back. And, I remember, and I don't want to say this, I don't want anybody thinking me differently, but I cut out one of the refs who said that the Colts had the ball. I'm like, no, you know what I'm saying? Like it was just, a different. I mean, I've been at the bottom of piles before, but this one was different because, I mean, everybody was, trying to get that ball. I mean, it was a major turn in the game. So, yeah.
Folks, if you're just joining us, we're honored to sit down with Saints great Super Bowl champion Courtney Roby. Courtney, the Saints have been, I guess, blessed, to have some outstanding kick returners throughout their franchise history. And on this Go Black and Gold cruise, there's yourself, there's Tyrone Hughes, and you mentioned Michael Lewis. All three of you are going to be on this cruise.
Yep.
We're friends with Tyrone Hughes. Yeah, Ty was just on with us last week. So we asked him, I got to ask you the same question. Who's the best kickoff returner of the three of you?
Oh, me, hands down. Hands down. Me. Me.
Love the confidence. Love it.
Me. I'm sure they would say themselves, I mean, as you should, but no, they're not messing with me.
He did. To be fair, Tyrone did say himself, but he did acknowledge, because you have the youth advantage over him. He blamed it on his knees too. He said that you might have the edge now.
Okay. All right. I appreciate that, Tyrone.
You want to keep that in the back of your mind for Beach Olympics, I'm sure.
This cruise, when you guys get together, does it feel like a fraternity? Even though you all played in different eras in franchise history.
It really does, man. Like I said, just it's special. I mean, it just is. I can't really put into words. The feeling of everybody getting back together. Obviously, Michael, he played, before I got there.
Mm-hmm.
Tyrone, different era as well. But being there with Lance, I mean, Lance and I were there at the same time.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, just, even though where we played, in different, at different times, everybody is, like you said, it's still a fraternity. We all wore that, that fleur-de-lis, on the side of our helmets. We all represented the same organization, and we all went out there with the same purpose, and that was to, bring a sense of pride and proudness to, that whole community. And so, again, that's why I like the Q&A so much, because it allows everybody to kind of, get an insight of how we were, when we played, and, just to be able to ask those questions. So, but yeah, I mean, like you said, I mean, it's definitely, fraternity. I still talk to Lance, every week. I mean, heck, he's the godfather of my youngest daughter. So, it's definitely a family, man. It's definitely a family.
I'll ask you this as I throw this comment up on the screen from Facebook from Gene saying memories for a life. Season ticket holder back in those days, everybody was a family in the dome back then. you talked about how fast Super Bowl week went,
Yeah.
and how NFC Championship week felt like a lifetime. When you were in those moments and you're hoisting the Lombardi Trophy and you're getting back to New Orleans and the parade's getting set up, did you know at that time what you guys had done for New Orleans, or did it take a couple years to be able to look back and be like, wow, look what we did for this city?
No, I think it was immediate. Because like we knew what we were going out there for, during the NFC Championship. It's one thing to say, all right, well, you know what, we play for the fans, but
Mhm.
like the city of New Orleans, man, like, just that whole really the entire state of Atlanta, you know what I'm saying? Like it lives the Saints, you know what I'm saying? Obviously no disrespect to the Pelicans, but like, the Saints, like, the good times and bad, you know what I'm saying? Those fans stuck by us. And so like we wanted to bring something special to that region. And so I think we knew immediately, exactly what was going on. I can remember, and this, might be something minute, but I can remember the day after riding with Lance, like we went to the mall or something, like something crazy, but like we pulled up to a lady and she didn't even know that, she was beside us, but like she had her radio on blast and she was playing that song Black and Gold to the Super Bowl.
Mhm.
Yeah. So like and me and Lance just looked at each other like, all right, you know what I'm saying? Like you just got that feeling of, all right, well, you know what? Like we did that. You know what I'm saying? So it was just a feeling that you really can't put into words. Again, I know that sounds cliche, but you really can't. You can't put it into words, but like you understood the magnitude of that moment.
Courtney, when you left New Orleans, you actually played out the final year of your career with the Atlanta Falcons. I know, but I got to ask. First of all, I'd like to point out Lance was smart enough to retire before he put the blackbird on the side of his head. But seriously, what was it like? How emotional was it to leave New Orleans? And I know it's a business, but you guys still have you have family, you have friends, so many emotions and memories tied up. How tough was it to leave New Orleans and for Atlanta of all places?
It was tough, man. It was tough. That was, a city that I really hoped to, finish out my career there. Now I will say, I was fortunate enough, for other organizations to feel like, bringing me on board, would help benefit them as well. But, you never want to leave an organization that's been, good to you and your family. Like you said, it's a business, and that's a part of the business because, a lot of times you got to pick up and move on. But New Orleans, if you ask anybody what organization I represent, it's not Tennessee. Heck, I even played for the Colts before New Orleans picked me up. I don't. Yeah, so I don't really talk about them either. And that's my hometown team. Because I was born and raised in Indianapolis. So, but it's always New Orleans. And so, I go back to New Orleans whenever possible. I'm always at their alumni weekends. This will be the first year I miss, and I don't know how long. But I'm always there. And obviously other organizations have alumni weekends as well. But I don't care about that. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm like New Orleans is my heart. You know what I'm saying? And I mean that to the utmost. But yeah, it was tough putting on that Falcon helmet, because you got to think about it. Like that is one of the most heated rivalries in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And I could, and even going over there on that side, like you could still sense, even though I was in their building, for their organization, you could still feel a sense of, all right, well, you know what, we've had so many battles against each other. There was still a little bit of that hate there, There was still a little bit of that hate. So, yeah. But I mean, again, it's always Saints for me, for sure.
I'm gonna ask you a fun one. I've read, and I guess asking you to confirm that somewhere down the lineage, you and Darren Sproles are cousins.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
did you find that out? Was it kind of like, was it like the Vince Carter, Tracy McGrady, where they just didn't know for a long time and they found out, or did you always know you guys were related somewhere down the line?
So we both found out in college. Because his great grandmother and my great grandmother were first cousins. So we both found out in college. And the family member that we found out or learned that through, was always trying to find a way to get us connected. And so with that being the case, how it happened was, which is a little crazy. So my senior year, I played in the Senior Bowl All-Star game, and he was the running back. We played on the same team that year. I mean, obviously, so he made the Senior Bowl All-Star team as well. But obviously, as players, like, you get into the hotel at different times,
Mhm.
and so I get to the hotel, get up to the room, and there's luggage there. And so I go over to the luggage, and I'm like, I wonder who my roommate is. And so I look at the tag, and it says Darren Sproles. I'm like, you know what? Like, that's crazy to me. That's crazy. So, like, all these years, like, being in college, like, we're trying to, link up and get together because, I mean, we know that we're blood, and it happens during that time. So that was the first time that we actually connected, was at the Senior Bowl.
That's cool. What was
Yeah.
it like playing with your cousin?
It was cool, man. It was cool. I talked to him last week, and I told him, I said, listen, like, you, to this day, he still has some of the quickest feet I've ever seen in my life. He was just like, his feet were quick. But I also told him too, like, because with me being as a gunner, there were a couple of back then, back when he played for Diego. So, I don't let him forget about that either. But yeah, so I mean, he's great player. Just one of the best to ever do it. And if you look at him, obviously, everybody that knows his story, everybody doubted him because he was undersized. But, like, his heart was huge, man. His heart was huge. And so, he would go out there and, just dominate a game. Whenever he touched the ball, you're looking at something to be done that was special. And he did that quite a bit.
You talked about your days as a gunner too, and when the average fan thinks of special teams, they see a terrific returner like like yourself, like Ty, like Mike Lewis, that big returns always brings a fan to their feet. That you talked about how much pride you took in it, but a gunner, kick coverage, punt coverage, that is just as important to a team's win and loss. Possibility. And now you have Darren Reese taking over, for Dennis Allen as head coach. Do you like that move? Because Darren seems like a real intense guy. Any special teams coach I've ever met is an intense guy. Do you like the kind of intensity that a special teams guy like Darren is going to bring to this team now that he's in charge?
Absolutely. One of the things that, a special teams player knows is that, special teams is kind of the grimy work of the team, kind of the grimy work. And so, you get asked to do a lot of things. I mean, heck, I remember when I first got to the league, back then they were able to have the 4-man wedge. And so, the position that I played back then, obviously I was a receiver, but also, running down on kickoffs. I'm 180 pounds and I'm asked to split that wedge. You know what I'm saying? So, it's a dangerous part of the game. Obviously it's gotten a lot safer than when I was there, but I mean, it's still a dangerous part of the game. And so, going into it, like you're dealing with the griminess of the sport. And so, with Coach Rizzi, like, coming in there and bringing that edge, I mean, that could be something that, obviously, sets the tone, and hopefully sets the tone for the remaining part of the year for sure.
Looking at this current team, and Bob talked about special teams, or as I called it throughout my time playing in high school and whatnot, special forces, because it could really force the game one way or another, is what one coach told me. When you look at this team, I look at a guy like JT Gray, who's consistently a Pro Bowler at that position. When you're going through walkthroughs and you're going through practices, especially with younger guys, can you see kind of the light bulb click, or can you kind of get those lenses and those glasses and be like, man, that kid's going to be really special on special teams?
Yeah, you can, because, special teams is all about a want to. Because, I mean, if you think about it, you only have, 53 guys on the roster. And so, game, not all 53 dress, you know what I'm saying? So, like, you're going to have people out there who are used to, especially, coming fresh in from college, because I didn't play any special teams in college, like none. I take that back. I was a returner until I want to say mid part of my sophomore year. But then I got injured, and so they took me off all special teams and just had me focus just strictly on receiver. But like as far as playing gunner and running down on kickoffs, I did none of that. And so when I got to the league, like that was my first experience with that. And so I think a lot of times, especially when you are considered the man on your team, you have I guess kind of a pride sense to you, because it's like, all right, well, with special teams, like, a lot of times it gets a bad rep, you know what I'm saying? And, like you had alluded to before, with you saying special forces, one of the things that, Sean made a point of is that, special teams can win or lose a game. You know what I'm saying? Like you get a big return, you set the offense up, or, the flip side of that, you give a big return, and now, the defense is, up, or, I mean, heck, God forbid, the other team scores, you know what I'm saying? But like those moments literally flip, can really, flip a game. And so it's not all about offense and defense, but when you get a guy that comes in there and has the want to be good, on special teams, then okay, well, you know what? This guy's going to be good. He's going to make it. And one of the things that, Sean would press all the time is you can do. So, like, in my case, I played receiver, was returner, gunner, ran down on kickoff, you know what I'm saying? So, like, I tried to do everything that I could to make sure that, all right, well, this organization is accountable. So, therefore, if you got a guy that can do all those things, it's going to be hard to let him go. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you have to have the want to do it. And, JT has done a great job with that.
For sure. Folks, Courtney Roby is part of the Get Checked or Check Out promotion, specifically for the 11th annual Go Black and Gold Celebrity Fan Cruise. Courtney, this would be my first cruise ever. I've been fortunate enough to do a ton of traveling, never been on a cruise, but I've talked to a lot of people that have. I've heard people talk about their cruise experience. It was very structured, almost planned down to the minute. I've heard others talk about, there was no real organization at all. You just kind of wandered around, but it was real laid back, real fun. Is this cruise that you're involved with, Is it kind of a happy medium between the two, or does it lean one or the other direction?
I think Miss Shireen does a great job of structuring it to allow people not only downtime to enjoy themselves, because I mean it is a vacation. It's you want to be able to enjoy that and enjoy the festivities, other than everything that's going on. But she does a great job of making sure that everybody comes together as well. So we have the putt, we have the like we had mentioned before, the beach Olympics. When we get off the boat in Cozumel, we have the Q&A. What else do we have? We have karaoke night.
Who's the best? I'm sorry to interrupt you. Who's the best singer out of all the players that's going to be on there?
Oh, I mean, listen, we all cannot sing. So,
I was gonna say, look how quick you were to not say yourself.
no, I'm not gonna do that to myself. So, but the crazy thing about it is Tyrone, he gets out there and he'll sing probably a good 3-4 songs. So,
I could see that.
So I'm gonna let him have that. I'm gonna let him have it. Man, we have the last year we had a sneaker ball, because they have different clubs and stuff on the cruise as well. So Miss Shireen, like, she does a great job with it, man. She really does, and making sure that everybody comes together as one, but also is allowed to have their personal time as well. So.
Kid friendly? Do a lot of families bring their children with them?
Sure. I had my 2 daughters with me last year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so actually that was their first cruise, but I mean it's a great time, man. They have pools, like I said, the putt, they got basketball courts, they got a kids club. So I mean, the fact that you have children shouldn't deter you from attending. So.
Well, before we let you go, Courtney, I got one more thing for you. And I'm sure you're going to hear plenty of stories while you're on the cruise and memories from fans. But I have one specific one to share with you. I'm super fortunate to be able to say that in my journalism career, I've got to cover the team that I grew up rooting for.
Nice.
So naturally, I have a ton of memories with the team over the years. But the one that sticks out to me and always will was watching that Super Bowl with my father, who was a diehard Saints fan and had seen the Archie Manning days and the days of the 70s and all that stuff. And when Tracy picked the ball off and ran it back for the score, I jumped up as the fan in me and said, well, like, we won the Super Bowl. Like, I knew it was over. And my dad looked at me, and it was almost like I could see about 35 to 40 years of pain in his eyes. And he just said, it's not over yet. Like, he could not believe it yet. And then it finally happened, and it was one of the most emotional times I'd ever seen my dad. So thank you for that.
Thank
That
you.
was something that I will always cherish as a fan. And even now in my journalism career, being able to look back and go, dang, that was a really special moment that a lot of people my father's age never thought he'd experience.
Right. I appreciate it. And that definitely means a lot. And I tell you what, man, like, again, just hearing that story, it 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 hits me because, again, like, I know, those were the type of emotions that we played for. Again, it wasn't about, all about us. Obviously being the team, we took out there on the field with us every single year. That all emotions that you and your father shared, like, that's something that is definitely touching for me to hear, because
Well, yeah, certainly appreciate it. Like I said, that was something that will always stick with us. And no, I think based off what you were saying today and the amount of the amount of love you still have for the city, you clearly cherish all those things and moments that you hear and things that you will hear on this cruise as well. So, first off, thanks for taking the time to sit and chat with us. It's been a pleasure. But, second, thank you for the memories that go beyond the journalism and going back to, when I was just a fan of the team.
I appreciate it, fellas. I appreciate it. And last thing, remember, I got first dibs. All right.
Shotgun rules, my friend.
All right, cool.
Hey, listen, thank you so much, Courtney, for taking some time with us. I hope we can do it again. On the show. You have our number, we have yours. You're part of the Bayou Blitz family now. Consider it an open invitation every single week. All you got to do is shout to one of us, hey, can I come on this week? I'm sure if it's okay, we will reach out to you too. And we have a cruise to promote too. We have a few months yet before this cruise. So, we want to get word out, not only for the cruise itself, but the charity that you guys represent, and how people can help, how people can help with the promotion as well.
For sure. Listen, hey, anytime, like you said, you got my information, you got my number. Shoot me a text, give me a call, and I'm there. So I appreciate it. It's been fun, and I appreciate everything that y'all doing for sure.
Thank you. We appreciate you, and again, thank you for everything. But hey, we're going to be in touch, right?
Good. Sounds good. All right.
Thank you, Courtney.
That was Courtney Roby, Saints legend, Super Bowl champion. General good dude as well. I think that's important to throw out there as well. Bob, takeaways from our conversation with Courtney Roby.
Oh man, it was great. And I mean, talking to all these guys, we've had Delvin on, we've had Tyrone on, we've talked to Shireen off the air, Shireen DeWalt off the air a few times. If you're already, an annual, member of the cruise, it sounds like a really exciting event. If you haven't yet experienced it, it really sounds like something you should. And obviously you can't beat the cause. The American Cancer Society, early diagnosis. Hooking families up. I mean, if you have a loved one, God forbid, that gets that kind of diagnosis, both yourself getting the diagnosis or as a loved one, you go into a sheer panic. You have to. That's natural. This is the type of organization that will help you. Okay, you take a deep breath. You focus on the number one priority, which is the health. Will help get you set up with organizations, point you in the right direction. What other steps do you need to take? Both for your own health, if you're the one with the diagnosis, and you as the family member. There's support groups out there. Like we said in the promo, and like Shireen, promotes profusely. It's not just about getting the body healthy. It's about the mind and the spirit too, and that's not only for the person with the diagnosis. That is the person, the person, the loved ones, the family members involved too. Courtney and all the rest of these guys giving back, and having fun while doing it. It's for a serious matter, but to bring everybody together and bring everybody together with a singular focus, from a charitable point of view, but also just enjoying each other's company and enjoying each other's the things, the loves, the hobbies that you have in common. I think this week in particular, with so many divisive things out there, both in the sports world and outside the sports world, it's stuff like this that brings a smile to your face.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You are 1,000% right when it comes to sports. Sports in general can be the ultimate healer for a lot of things going on. Whether that be turmoil within your own sports team, or whether it could be some of the other things that have affected the world this week.
Yeah, political world, work world, family world. It's nice not to have. It's nice to know that not everything out there is divisive or combative. I mean, you're talking with you and Courtney Roby tonight, and having our viewers in here, guys. This is the best part of my week so far, and I thank you for that.
No, I thank you. I mean, being able to do this weekly, right, and hang out with you guys, or even guys that shoot me DMs or replies, on Twitter, like this week has been good. And whether that be this week or any week, you guys are the reasons that we get to, and we say this all the time, you guys are the reasons we get to get up and do what we do. And that's fun. And if you guys weren't supportive of us and you guys hated our podcast and you never listened, we wouldn't be able to do the things we have been able to do and talk with these former players and all the great things that we do. So we thank you guys certainly for that. Bob and I will be back Sunday morning for a pregame show. We still have a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
When it comes to that, so it'll be a fun pregame. Same time as usual, 11:30 a.m. Eastern, 10:30 a.m. Central. I got to make sure I get my times right. I'm telling you, man, this whole daylight savings, whatever this is, it has really messed my brain up for a couple days. It really has, and the fact that it's like the low throughout the night is in the 60s still in North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how it is up your way.
It's similar. We had 80 degrees yesterday during the day.
My nose, my brain, all of it has no idea what's going on because they're like, it's not supposed to be this dark this early. It's not supposed to be this hot. So all sorts of things. But guys, at the end of the day, we thank you so much for hanging out with us. Thank you guys for continuing to interact with us. Hopefully it was a nice trip down memory lane with Courtney Roby. It certainly was for the two of us. And I love sharing that story about my dad. Dad, if you're watching, I love sharing that story as much as possible because and Bob knows, and you long-term Saints fans know, and long-time Saints fans know, is that it was when the team finally hit their stride and they were finally not just a Super Bowl contending team, but a good team. It took a long time for your eyes to really believe what it was seeing.
Yeah.
And even for my dad, when you're up 14 points with 2 minutes left in the Super Bowl, he couldn't believe it till it was over. Because of all the sheer pain over the decades. So I love sharing that story. Bob, like I said, we got a lot to talk about when it comes to Sunday morning. Hopefully we are coffeed up and the time change doesn't hit us hit us too hard. Any closing thoughts for our friends and information where they can read your articles? Because I know you've been busy this week.
Yeah, well, folks, this week has been an experiment in sleep deprivation for me. So, I do apologize if my work is a little bit off or if I was a little bit more off than usual tonight. Thankfully, Courtney and Brendan were here to make me look, I'm not going to say make me look good, but take the focus away from my buffoonery. So I appreciate the patience there. Like Brendan said, we still do have a game to cover. There's been plenty of angles to cover the New Orleans Saints this week, and we will continue to do so along with previewing this week's game. Oh yeah, by the way, there is a game this week, against the hated rival Atlanta Falcons. So we're going to be doing all that and more over at the Saints News Network. And you can follow my specific articles on the Saints News Network along with John Hendricks, Kyle Mosley. I also post these on my personal pages, Bob Rose on Facebook, at Bobby R 2613 on X Twitter, and as always through the Bayou Blitz and our Bayou Blitz affiliated pages, Who Dat Domination, Who Dat Nation and Under the Dome. So we appreciate, hopefully you're already, if you're watching this, you probably are already a member of one or all four of those groups. If not, please join and, get other Saints fans, other family members, other football fans, involved in all of those groups as well, along with our Bayou Blitz Twitter page. Courtney Roby, if you're still watching, Courtney, thank you so much, for a great talk tonight. Not only a great talk down memory lane, but sort of Saints fans have kind of been all over the map, this season, particularly over the last 4 or 6 weeks. Listening to you talk, talk about the team currently as you see it, it kind of levels things out. I mean, this team will be back. They will figure things out. You were part of the teams, the early Sean Payton teams, that really turned the corner and cemented this franchise, as a perennial championship contender. The Benson family still owns it, and I feel confident anyway, that they're going to do the necessary steps to try to get back in that direction. And you kind of talk some of those fans down from the proverbial ledge. So we thank you, not only for a great interview, for a great insight into, the Go Black and Gold celebrity fan cruise, but also your insights on the team today. So thank you again, Courtney.
I feel like it was a nice, I'm using a very modern, like hip, cool term here, but it was like a timeline cleanse. And for a lot of Saints fans, I think this probably was like a little bit of a cleanse of what's been a little bit of a chaotic 72 plus hours surrounding the New Orleans Saints. So nice little cleanse. Got to hear some opinions from someone who's been in the locker rooms and lived some of the craziness himself. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. We certainly did. For myself, you can check out all my work on Instagram and on Twitter at BT Boylan. Follow the pod at Bayou Blitz Pod. If you are listening to this on Spotify or Apple or wherever you get your pods, make sure you follow us on those outlets, and also subscribe to some of those Facebook groups so you can get in and watch us live. You can be exclusive. You don't have to wait for the Spotify thing to hit the next morning. You can just get your favorite podcast live and before everybody else, because you're exclusive. You're in the club. You don't got to worry about the bouncers. You're already in. You're not even on the list. You're already in the club. You don't got to worry about it. So guys, thanks so much for hanging out with us tonight. Like I said, we will be back Sunday morning for a pregame show and a little bit of a summary of the week that has been for the New Orleans Saints. That's Bob Rose. Get some sleep, Bobo. I saw that yawn.
Sorry. It's not you.
Good.
It's not you. It's me.
Ooh. That might have caused some PTSD for some people at home. I'm just kidding. That's Bob Rose. I'm Brendan Boylan. Thanks so much for tuning into the Bayou Blitz podcast. We'll see you in a couple days. Who dat?